Greatness Quest. I'm Trevor Crane, and every week I'm bringing you somebody to help you take your business to the next level. This week, I've got George Smolinski, who is a physician turned publishing company guy. Hold on, how do you say that, George?
Probably owner. How's owner?
Okay, that sounds good. And we are talking right now. It looks beautiful behind you, but you're not in the States. You're in Germany, right?
Yes, Germany.
And I don't hear a German accent. So how'd you end up in Germany?
I'm in the military, so I am stationed here in Germany. So as a quick caveat, all views expressed in this interview are my own and do not represent the U.S. government in any way.
Nor does your haircut, because it looks like I'm more from the service and you are just like on vacation.
I do need a haircut. It's getting too long. You're right.
Oh yeah, it's just
shame on me.
It must be all unkempt. My daughter has long hair. When I go to brush her hair, it just takes forever. And I'm like, honey, I don't have that issue. We can just clean it up. Just take it right off.
Right.
All right. Well, George here has published over 70 books that you've done personally. Is that right, George?
Yes, some of them are published under pen names, but I am an Amazon expert.
Are any of your published books your pen names? Are those like ladies' names? Do you have any women that you pretend to be for a pen name?
Yes, absolutely. The Amazon market, you need to be able to make sure that you capture the whole market. So having male and female names for authors is a great idea.
Man, that's awesome. Now, when you do that on Amazon, will you also create a new Amazon author page as well?
Yes, that's correct.
Wow, that's cool. And I think you generate a pretty decent income with your books and ebooks and whatnot, and that's what you've been helping business owners with all over the world since you're located in Germany. You've got clients all over the place. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. We have my contractors work on every single continent in the world, and we have clients everywhere on every continent in the world. So,
well, what we're going to talk about today is more about productivity, because what I'm impressed with is that, I brought George on from my publishing team. He helps me with my books on doing some of the things that I need to outsource and I need to have help with, because it's ridiculous that many entrepreneurs are trying to do everything themselves and go on and figure out how to do the formatting or the layout or the design or editing or a million things. And I think your expertise, when Jason P. Jordan introduced us, he said, I've never met anybody who's done so well at outsourcing all the jobs that need to get done. So talk a little bit about that as far as strategy, psychology, and what you'd recommend people do.
Okay. Well, can I tell you a story?
Love stories.
I knew you would. So when I was deployed to Afghanistan back in 2011, I realized that time is very short and that there are three things that you have in life. You have time, you have your health, and you have money. And of those things, you can always improve your health, you can always make more money, but you certainly cannot make more time. So I put a priority on restructuring my life to get the most time out of every single day. And that's a whole host of different things that people can do in order to become more productive. But I didn't want to become more productive just to work more. I wanted to become more productive so that I could build a business on the side, but also have more time to do the things that really filled up my cup, so to speak.
Right.
So I hired my first virtual assistant back in 2012 when I came back from Afghanistan, and now I've probably hired and worked with 60 VAs probably. So
that's awesome.
That is, if there's one thing that people are going to take away from this entire episode, it's that if you are going to be successful, you need help and you're going to need to outsource.
Man, that is so cool. So I tell you this all the time on basically every show. You and I talk that you haven't seen all my shows. I think you've seen one of them. But asking for help is the most intelligent first step I recommend anybody do. If that's the one thing anybody gets from any of my shows, get some bloody help. I usually say that help is finding a mentor, finding somebody that's already created the result, and then have them do that for you. So, for example, with your over 70 books, and I think I asked you how many times you've been a #1 bestseller, and you said you lost count. You go to somebody who's created the result, who's done it so many times that they can help you get it again. But this is a cool way, another perspective, and I talk about this as well, but get help doing all those other things you're not great at. Outsource, which can be small stuff that you shouldn't be doing in your life. Like, give us some examples.
This is easy. If you, let's see, what's a great example?
Yeah, and what's one that people watching right now can go ahead and easily implement and say, you know what, I'm going to go get someone to do that for me.
Ooh, that's a good one. You need someone to, here's a great one. You need someone to tame your email inbox. That's a great one because it's easy to do. You just have to use a secure password sharing platform like 1Password or LastPass and get someone to go through your emails every single day and filter out the stuff that you don't need and send you a one-page summary of the things that you need to address that day. That's an easy thing to do because how many of us have email inboxes that are overflowing?
Dude, mine's so full, it's not even funny. And I haven't mastered that one yet. I'm still responding to that daily, and I have a team. I have some different people that can help me with it, but I haven't nailed it down there. Now, we're going to have to take a quick break, but I know you've got a free gift, and you've modeled that over the 4-hour work week. So in 10 seconds or less, what is that real quickly?
It's the 4-Hour Work Week Toolbox, which is a distillation and all the tools that you'll need to take Tim Ferriss's book and put it into practice in your life.
All right, so you're going to be able to get that when you go to greatnessquest.com/4-hour toolbox, and you're going to get that free gift in just a second. Hey guys, welcome back. You're watching Greatness Quest, and today I'm here with George Smolinski. Did I get that right?
Absolutely. Thanks, Trevor.
All right. And George is a physician turned publishing company owner. We are talking about productivity. We're talking about how a few years ago, George said, you know what, time is my most precious commodity, and how can I go ahead and get more of it to do the stuff I want? We're talking about also books, and I have a new program for bestseller big business. I believe every business owner should have a book behind their business. I know you believe that too. Why should someone have a book?
Okay, it boils down to this. If you've published a book, you are seen as an expert. Because if you have published a book, that means that you've done the research, you've done the hard work to really know your subject. Because let's be honest, you don't want to look like a fool when you publish a book. And if you know enough to publish, you know enough to be considered an expert in that field. So I've seen this happen with multiple business owners, that they have gone and published a book and they have gotten leads. They have gotten paying clients that have come into their business, found them online because of their book. It happened to me, and that's why I built Gutenberg Reloaded, my publishing company.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I added George to my publishing team to make sure that I can get all this stuff done. Because for years, I studied publishing, and I knew that getting a book out and done was just a gateway that most people don't have in their business. And I kept making excuses and not finalizing and getting it done because there were all these little things that I didn't know. So I thought, okay, I will go ahead and learn it all. Oh, what a redonkulous, you're like laughing at me. So it was just the stupidest thing until I finally just said, let me get a team to help me get it done. And I got a book done instantly using the right strategy. I mean, instantly is in within 24 hours, we published the cover of my book, but pre-launched it, and they gave me 90 days using, Amazon's strategy and the strategy They gave me 90 days to write the details of my book, and I picked a subject I was already an expert at, so it'd be easy for me to talk about, and now I have this phenomenal book that's a #1 bestseller, and we have over 70 reviews on Amazon, and it's all because I accessed a team, and George, you were definitely key in part of that, so thank you for your help.
You're welcome, Trevor. Happy to help.
Well, talk to me about, let's go back to productivity, because I asked you before, what are some things that people can outsource? You gave us a free an option there, and you also gave a gift. By the way, if you haven't gotten George's gift yet, go to greatnessquest.com/4-hour toolbox and talk a little bit about that gift and one of the secrets out of it that people can employ. Use?
I would say utilize. Okay, that's a double word score. Okay. So what I did is I took Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week, because that was my inspiration in Afghanistan. Learning those different things that you need to know to essentially reshape your life. Mm-hmm. I took that and I distilled it down, and I thought, there's a lot of good fundamentals here, but there's some things that are a little bit lacking. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of concept, and Tim does a great job of giving some resources, but I wanted to give people an example of some resources that I use that I think are super effective. So things like project management tools like Trello, different platforms to get to outsource your work like Odesk, which is now Upwork. Mm-hmm. I put all of those things and all of those lessons that I learned into that book so that people could have a handbook that they could essentially go through and use those things to get started making their life more productive.
Well, and if you have the wrong tool, it's so difficult to get any freaking job done. I don't care what it is. I've had boats, I've had trucks, I've had cars, I've had bikes, I've had tricycles. And if you have the right tool, you just turn the little crank and everything works. If you have the wrong tool, you're screwed. You'll screw it up. It'll take you hours to try to use a rock and a nail and try to make something happen. But if you have the right tool, I think that's cool. Talk to me about that toolbox, because I'm just thinking I keep all my pens and pencils here, and I use each of them for different things. I've got my highlighter. I've got my pointer, which is kind of ridiculous. I've got all these little tools. So talk to us about more of the resources in this toolbox. Or hold on, let's not do that, because everybody's going to get that when they go to greatnessquest.com 4-hour toolbox. We all see the value of that. What else can somebody do right now to be more productive?
Okay, here is the great number one tip, okay? What I want everyone to do, you can even do this while you're watching this interview. Go into your email client, whatever it is, Outlook or Gmail or whatever, and insert an auto response that says, I check my email twice daily at 11 o'clock local time and 3 o'clock p.m. local time. If you have any other urgent issues, and make sure they're urgent, please call me and set that up. Because there's two things that are going to happen. Number one, you are going to set expectations. Mm-hmm. People will expect that you won't get back to them immediately, and that is what email should not be used for. It's not an instant messaging service. And what will happen secondarily is that people will stop sending you emails. They'll give it a second thought, and a lot of times they'll solve the problem on their own, and slowly over time you will have less emails flooding your inbox.
Now, anybody who's read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week is going to know you just stole that from him, and you're not hiding that. You're saying,
no.
I got this inspiration from Tim when I was in Afghanistan, realizing that I got to get some of my life back, and this precious resource of time was something that you can't get back. Everything else you can. So talk a little. So there's something really cool here. I heard that. I read it. I did it for a little while and then was like, and then I just let it slip off. So talk a little bit about that, about implementation and how that has shifted things for you, because a lot of people listen to shows like this and they're going to go ahead and say, sounds like a great idea. They'll read that freaking book and they'll say, sounds like a good idea, and then not do it and not implement it and not get the results. So talk a little bit about that.
That's a tough one, because implementation and being consistent is the toughest thing. Now, usually people backslide or they go into they decide to give up on things because they don't see the value in it. So you've got to choose some quick wins. You've got to choose something that you are going to get in return. So don't set up your email responder and then just use that to clear more time to do more work. Say, I'm going to set up my email responder, and then what's going to happen is I'm going to go to the gym instead because I'm not answering emails, or something that you find enjoyable. Do that, and that is how you will make true change.
Okay, so you're saying the implementation is the key. It's one of the hardest challenges for people to take on. So you're saying when you make one of these shifts, give yourself a reward, give yourself something else to go ahead and have a quick win. I think that's great advice. We're going to have to take another quick break. We're here with George Smolinski.
There you go.
Did I get it?
Yeah, good
All right,
job,
we're
Trevor.
going to be back in just a second. You're watching Greatness Quest with more productivity tips. Hey guys, welcome back. We are talking about productivity today. This is George Smolinski, and he is a physician turned publishing company owner. How the hell did that start? How do you go from being a physician in Afghanistan or in the military, in Germany, or wherever the heck you are, to owning a publishing company?
That's a great question. It actually started as a weekend rainy day project. So the weather here in Germany, right now it's great. Look, this is perfect, okay? But in winter, it rains. Imagine 36 and rainy for 4 months. So on the weekends, I've got 4 young kids, and...
Hold on. 36 is Celsius, right?
No, 36 Fahrenheit.
Okay, 36 Fahrenheit. So we're talking, it's that cold?
Yeah, oh yeah. Wow. And rainy.
And rainy, okay.
Yeah, it's miserable.
And how many kids?
4.
Good God. Okay. And I'm just trying to imagine that. Okay, so 4 months of rain and cold and 4 kids. Got it.
Right. In a house, not a whole lot to do sometimes on weekends. So I thought, hey, you know what? I heard that you can publish a book on Kindle. So my boys, who are now 9, this was back in 2013, so they were 7. They're twin boys. And they, who actually are friends with Jason Jordan's boys, so, we decided on a weekend that we were going to publish a book because they had a whole series of these imaginary characters. So we thought, like, you know, your daughter's publishing her book, which is awesome. I'm glad that we're helping out with that. But that's how I got started. My kids wanted to publish a book. I thought, hey, let's do this. So over a weekend, they created the drawings. They dictated the stories. I typed up the text. And I thought, hey, let's put this on Amazon. And lo and behold, we published the book, and you can still get it on Kindle. The story of Jubby Jubby Jow Jow.
I gotta check it out.
He's a 9-foot-tall red and blue circle. Anyways, so
how old were your kids here at this age?
They're 7.
Wow, they were 7 when they did their first book.
Yeah,
that my daughter too. She wrote her book, The 3 Ninja Kitties.
Yeah.
And we pre-launched it. It's about to come out. By the time people watch this, it's going to be there. So go check out Jubby Jubby Jow Jow and The 3 Ninja Kitties. Books written by 7-year-olds. Amazing content. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So that stimulated me to realize this is a phenomenal platform because you could publish books. You could publish books on anything on Amazon. And that just opened the spigot. So I started to publish my own books. I had my own blog at that time. I put together a lot of the content from that blog and beefed it up and published like Free Time, Hire a Virtual Assistant, and Liberate Your Life, one of my books. And I just kept going with that. Mm-hmm. But then I realized that people needed help because there's a lot of good business owners out there that really know their business really well, but they don't know how to connect with customers. And that gets back to our discussion before. Yeah. If you want to connect with customers and you want to prove that you're an expert, you need to publish a book. So they provided the concept, the inspiration, the writing, and those things, and we provided everything else so that they could focus on making themselves an expert, and we could take care of the publishing part.
Right. And by the way, if you guys want to get in touch with George, I'm going to ask you next, like to give some of your information so they can find your website and whatnot. But George is also one of our co-authors of Your Epic Book Launch because I met people that Jason, who introduced us, I met a whole group of people that were phenomenal at not just writing books, but publishing books, helping business owners build that business behind their book, have an epic book launch. George contributes a chapter in that book, so you can find Your Epic Book Launch. Go check that out. He's part of our Epic publishing team as well, but you can find George. Go ahead and tell him where they can get in touch with you.
At GutenbergReloaded.com. That's our website. I thought that was very clever because...
Well, tell everybody what Gutenberg Reloaded is, because I recognized the name at first. I'm like, Gutenberg, but I didn't place it, I got to say. So help everybody with what that is.
Oh, yeah, Gutenberg, printing press, right? Well,
Well, Gutenberg was the first printing press, basically.
Right, exactly.
Okay, I got
it. So then...
you just have to help us slow pokes. Because
okay.
when Jason first gave that to me, he was like, do you like the name? And I go, yeah, it's really good. He's like, you recognize it? I'm like, Gutenberg, yeah, I know I should. Didn't he land on the moon? Wasn't he the first guy on the moon? Didn't he discover America? Wasn't that? So apparently not.
Apparently not. No, printing press. Okay, printing press. So it was either Gutenberg 2.0 or it was Gutenberg Reloaded. And
well, that's like Matrix Reloaded.
Yeah.
Okay.
I took a little bit of inspiration from that, I guess, but I ran both of those past my wife, who's great at book titles, and she said Reloaded sounded better. So
I think it sounds great. Okay.
Yeah.
They're going to find you there, and where else?
You can find also my own personal blog at 4hourphysician.com. So on there, another B, all over. I discuss these same productivity techniques and those things. And the last thing, you can also find us on our newest venture at dollarbooks.net, where every day we send out 5 books that are priced at $1 or less, and every single book has at least 10 reviews on Amazon, averaging 4.5 stars per overall for those 10 reviews. So feel free to connect with me on any of those sites.
And George, did I get my book on your program again for that? Because I know at one point and here's something for anybody who writes a book, and our whole publishing team talks about how it's important to make sure you have a review campaign when this is a deadly mistake business. So actually, hold on. Before I say it, George, you tell everybody here about what can happen if you don't have positive reviews on your book, because I want to talk about this real quick.
Reviews are social proof on Amazon. It doesn't matter if you have a 4-star review or a 5-star review. Probably not a good idea to have a lot of 2-star reviews or 1-star reviews, but having 1 4-star review is better than no reviews at all. Even having a couple of 4-star reviews, even a 3-star review, because it shows that someone else has read that book and has thought enough to leave some feedback on it. Reviews are social proof. It's just like likes on a Facebook page or followers on Twitter. So if you don't have reviews, as Trevor so eloquently alluded to earlier.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but okay.
I'm giving you a lot of credit.
Okay, thank you. Of course. Eloquence.
You need reviews. So Trevor, your book has 70 reviews. That's incredible, because that means that people are taking the time to leave you feedback. That shows that people care about your book and care about you.
Well, there's 2 things here. This is really key. I knew this. I've known it for years. I left it to the last minute. I'm overwhelmed just like everybody else is with life, right? We have personal, professional things. I'm going in a million directions at once. I want to conquer the world and build a hotel on the moon because I'm thinking big. And I didn't outsource this, quite frankly. I went ahead and I put it off, and it wasn't urgent in my mind. And then it was one of those things I was going to get done. I had the whole plan, but I didn't implement any system to make it happen. And one of my first reviews was a 1-star review. I left my book up. It had launched, and I made a mistake when I launched it because I said, I can do it, George. I'm not going to have my team do it. I'll do that. And I made a mistake, and I uploaded a poor version of it, and somebody read it and said something bad, like I can't spell, and like I'm like a 2-year-old or something like that.
Right.
And I had my one review was a 1-star, and then I panicked because I'm like, what? Now it looked horrible when I look at it. Someone else wrote a bad review as a 1 or 2-star, and I'm like, wah! So what I did was I had to get on this major campaign that now was a credibility piece to just get back the fact that, like, I had a lot of reviews eventually where people loved the book, but I didn't make that a priority, and I didn't bring in a team. What do you recommend somebody does to make sure that they get good reviews? Because I don't care whether they have a book or not. They should have reviews on their product, their service, their business. Ideally, they should have a doggone book and make sure it's a priority. But how do you recommend making it happen? Because I know how I eventually did it, and it was through some of your advice. But what do you recommend someone do?
Well, I've done the same thing. I actually learned this little trick, which is to be real, to address your issues, okay? Chris Matthews, in his book Hardball, which I read many eons ago, said to hang a lantern on your problems. Don't hide them, because you know what? If you've got something that you put out, and I've done this too, I've published books and there have been errors in them and people have pointed it out. So I've gone back and I've said, hey, you know what? You're right. We we're republishing this, we're fixing the errors, we're beefing up the content here. Will you change your review knowing that we made these improvements? And if you can change someone from a 3-star review to a 4-star or a 5-star review, that's amazing.
Yeah.
At the very least, someone going through those reviews is going to, if you go in and respond and they can see that, it's the same like on TripAdvisor, where a hotel manager goes in and says, yeah, you know what, the carpet was dirty in your room. I apologize. We went in and replaced the carpet when you left. It shows that they care, and you care about your book. You care about your product. You care about your service. So address the problem, and that will build trust.
Well, and I want to share with everybody that when you came out with, it's called dollarbooks.net, right?
Right.
Okay, so when you shared this with our community, and you said this is an available resource if you're one of our published authors, I'd love to help you. And I sent my book to you, and you sent it me back like, I'm sorry, brother, you're not up to 4.5. You're like a 4.3 on my average. And I panicked. Well, I didn't panic, but I'm pissed because I had all these great reviews, and I was like, ugh. So I got it back, and I said, George, help me, man. I need to make sure because I want to ask for help. I mean, if I haven't created a result before, I find someone who has. And George gave me the same exact advice, and I'm here to tell you, it freaking worked. Like, I went ahead and we went out. I sent a private message on Amazon as per your advice, and you typed out a little message. I'll give it to everybody here from what I recall. It was saying, you're right. I'm sorry. I corrected it. I appreciate your time for pointing it out to me. Please, I've sent you, I uploaded the new version. If you can get it and hopefully get some value from it, and maybe reconsider doing your review. That's what you gave me. And I probably said it more eloquently than that since I'm Mr. Eloquence. And I had 5 or 6 poor reviews, or at least ones that I could ask them to change. And within a week, like it was 3 days, 4 days, something like that, one of my reviews went from a 3 to 5, or maybe it was 4 to 5. I don't remember what it was, but they said they were even, and what they did is not only did they respond and change their review, they said, this guy really cares. He reached out and he listened to me. He said, I posted a review and told him there are these challenges. He got back to me, and now it's like one of my best reviews because he's somebody who's a convert. And if anybody reads that, they can tell I'm a real human. And he said, this guy, he's real. He communicates. He cares. And I love that. Hang a lantern on your problem. Anything else to add to that for someone to apply in their business in any way?
It doesn't matter if you're in sales at a department store or TripAdvisor, like I mentioned before. As long as you recognize your problems and continuously seek self-improvement and let your customers know that you're doing that, that will build confidence, that will build trust, and that will get you repeat clients.
So give me another example, because not everybody's going to have a book right now, and I could go ahead and talk about it, but I mentioned what you just said. I've said it differently. Like, I try to take my biggest insecurities, my biggest challenges, or my clients' biggest fears, and instead of apologizing for them, I turn them around and I say, let's not apologize for these things, let's celebrate them. Like, let's say for your Epic Book Launch, for example, there are other people that do launches. And so there are campaigns out there like, hey, check out all these well-known authors that are doing this summit, and you're going to learn from them. And I'm like, you know what? Our campaign is that we have a whole bunch of authors you've never heard of before. And that's why you should pay attention to us, because they're killing it, and you don't need to be a freaking big name. Because when you hear Donald Trump say, hey, well, follow me, I'll show you how to make $1 billion, they're like, you know what? Screw you, Donald Trump. It's going to work for you, but it's not going to work for lowly little old me. I'm like, embrace your challenges. So what do you say to that, or advice that you would give?
You're exactly right. If there is something that makes you unique, or is there's some sort of adversity or that you've overcome, something along those lines, that's what you have to be telling your customers. I mean, if there is some change that you've made with your business to help people out in any sort of way, you have to do that. Here's an example, even from my clinic. So if we get a complaint from a patient that we were running late, or that's a great example, we're running late. You know what? We don't say, well, you're wrong. We say, okay, what are we doing wrong? Is this something that was completely unavoidable? Like someone was sick, Or is there something wrong with our processes? And we go back and we contact the patient and say, hey, you know what? You're right. We were late because this was our fault. We acknowledge those faults, and then they say thank you. They say, thanks for addressing my concerns. And that, patients aren't customers, obviously, but this is just another example of someone that you're building credibility and building trust with.
Well, and here's what's cool. I teach sales a lot. I come into a company and I say, how can we generate more revenue? Which is what you said is one of the challenges of many business owners is they need to find more clients, i.e. like have a book. It establishes your credibility, your expertise, and then there's a whole new world where people can find you. They're searching for things you've got and they don't find you because you're not on these places. You're not on Google like you should be. You're not, you don't have the right SEO. You don't have the right website. You don't have the right blog. You don't have the right podcast. You don't have the right audiobook or ebook or whatever. But this is another part of complaints and objections. See, because oftentimes when someone's making a sale, they're like, oh no, I got an objection. I don't want to buy it because it's too expensive. I don't want to buy it because I don't trust you. I don't want to buy it because I don't know enough yet. I don't want to buy it because I haven't checked with my wife or my business partner. And people get all freaky. They freak out. They're like, okay, well then never mind. I don't want to be too pushy. Where this is an opportunity for you to build a relationship. See, objections or complaints, like you just said, is a phenomenal opportunity to, when you can transform that complaint or that objection into a raving fan, you got a client for life. You've got a relationship that's not going to break. It's firmer. So when I see a challenge, it's an opportunity. When I see a complaint or an objection, I'm like, now we have an opportunity for me to, well, you just said, develop trust is what you said.
Right, exactly. Now, the corollary to that, however, is you have to be sure that there are some people that you cannot please. So you have to be able to identify who those people are in your specific customer set. And once you do, unfortunately, Pareto's principle applies. You're going to get 80% of the results from 20% of the people. So don't spend all your time on that 1% perhaps that you'll never please.
Well, we talked about this as well when we talked about changing some of the reviews that I had, and I believe now my review score, and why I was asking you about my book, I think my average is like 4.7 or something. So I better be on dollarbooks.net.
All right.
It better be, because I know it's up there. And I sent you a message to that. We're going to talk about that. But we talked about don't spend too much time on the haters. You said, you know what, the 1-star guys, they may not come around. You don't want to put that much energy into it because if you fuel that fire, it could grow as well. So I think I sent them messages, but I mean, I think some of the people that said really hateful stuff, I just let them be. Like, I don't care. I need those haters to a certain degree. And I think this is another invitation where if I find someone who's not my ideal client and not the person that I want to be dealing with, I invite them out the door. Like, here's your money back. Here, just get out of my way, because my most precious resource also is time, and I don't have the energy to deal with this hater like that. And I want more of them, quite frankly, because it means I'm doing something right. Because I'm saying I'm getting some people to love me and some people to hate me. You're smiling sometimes, like I think I like this guy, or you're thinking I think this guy's a jackass.
Yeah,
I think you're probably.
Yeah, I know. I was just going to show you the door. No, I'm joking, but you're exactly right. You're exactly right, Trevor. You don't need to spend your time on those folks.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and I want to get one more piece of productivity here. By the way, since anybody might be listening to this on your podcast and not video, I know it keeps showing up on the screen. Go get the free gift of greatnessquest.com/4-hour toolbox. And you're going to get the great resources that you put together to help with the 4-hour work week so you can have more productivity. Give me one more piece of advice before we wrap this up, or anybody who's watching right now can actually apply.
Okay, here's a great one. Go on Fiverr. So Fiverr, if you don't know Fiverr, you should, because starts at $5 and you can get a whole lot of things done. So what Fiverr is a great platform to practice outsourcing and practice delegating tasks, because heck, you're only going to spend $5 on it. Okay. Mm-hmm. So before you start delegating big things like managing complex tasks, you got to get good at delegating and how to communicate with someone who's halfway around the world, perhaps.
Yeah.
That's where you go on Fiverr. You can buy silly stuff. I mean, you can have someone draw a picture of a chicken on a piece of paper and roast the paper, like set it on fire, and then mail that to someone as a roasted chicken picture. I mean, there's crazy stuff on there. Yeah. But it's a good idea to order some of those, I mean, even crazy gigs, so that you, a gig is a one small piece of work, a $5 gig. So order some of those so you can practice communicating and managing people over that platform, and spend $50 on there and get that experience before you start spending hundreds or thousands of dollars outsourcing on big projects.
Great advice, and I'm going to share this as well because it's the same time frame of the 4-hour work week. When I read that book years ago, I saw, hey, he had Odesk and Elance and the different resources. Like you mentioned, he gave some resources that you can go apply to create more productivity and whatnot. And I did exactly that. I went there, I followed some of, but not all, of the instructions, and I had some success, but I also was overwhelmed with all the people that I could hire. And then I tried to get them to do everything. So I gave them the toolbox. I'm like, hey, do all these things for me. And you already laughing at me because you see the problem I had there. I spent time, money, energy, frustration. People dropped off the planet because I overwhelmed them. They said yes. They didn't deliver. I was just a bad man. And I got pissed off about the whole thing and quit for a while. I mean, now I've embraced it, and I have several guys that help me overseas that are phenomenal at what they do. And I mean, I do that at high levels as well, where we have people come in. Obviously, you do that as well, where you do high-level stuff. You just want other people to help you get things done. I thought Fiverr is a great way. I actually started my daughter with that. So she hired some people on Fiverr. And guess what? You already know the answer to this, but where when people are looking on Fiverr to see whether or not it's a quality person they should hire, what are they looking for? Because my daughter's
reviews. So I put my company on Fiverr, Gutenberg Reloaded. We have some of our Fiverr gigs on there because people go there to buy stuff.
Yeah.
And we have, almost 400 5-star reviews.
And that's, my daughter was looking at this, and she was 7 at the time, and she's looking at it, and she's like, I'm not hiring that person. They've only got 3 reviews. I want that person. They've got, and she's counting. She's like, 4 million reviews. I'm like, honey, that's 4,000 reviews or 400 or whatever. But that's the first thing. It just makes sense. Okay, so great advice. Make sure you go actually check out George at Gutenberg Reloaded. Spell that for anybody in case they need some help with it, brother.
All right, GUTERENBERG. RELOADED.com.
Good God. Just look on greatnessquest.com, and I'm going to have a link for George Smolinski. Go check him out. If you just even spell check will help you out with this, but go check him out. He is helping. Talk to me about who you work with now and who is a great client for you and what you help them do.
Well, should I talk about you? Because you're a great client.
Sure.
Trevor's a great client because he produces high quality products. So he produces high quality books. He produces things that people want to consume and want to read. And that's been the advantage of working with several clients. Like, I've helped out Jason with some of his projects and some of his clients as well. And those folks, anyone who wants to work with someone who's wants to have a high quality end product and knows quality when they see it. And that's what we stand behind it with Gutenberg Reloaded. And that's why working with people like you, Trevor, is such a treat.
Well, thank you so much for that, George. It's actually a pleasure having you here. You're so dang complimentary. I can't believe it. Here's the cool thing about George, too, is he doesn't just we've barely scratched the surface on actually what you're great at. So give me one last little piece here. Tell people about your expertise as far as what other resources they have to publish their book except for just Amazon. Because I know that you've done audiobooks and a variety of things, but give just a little insight here because George has so much wealth of knowledge and has built a phenomenal team. That's why I said I feel so grateful that he's part of my team, and then I refer him to my clients as well. So talk a little bit about where else they can get their book. Great.
So you have to meet your customers where they want to consume the content, okay? It's just like in social media. You got to be on Facebook, Twitter, Google+. Same thing with publishing books. You have to be on Amazon. You have to be on iBooks because Apple iBooks is growing by leaps and bounds. But you also have to have a paperback book because a significant number of people still buy paperbacks. And you need an audiobook because people listen to audiobooks in the gym or in the car. And to be perfectly honest, publishing audiobooks is a fairly lucrative endeavor. $1,000 a month from publishing audiobooks is nothing to sneeze at.
And have you created that for yourself or for any of your clients? Just I don't know how much you want to disclose here, but
Yeah, no, those are my audiobooks that I've produced, that I've published for myself. So it's a great way to reach everyone in their individual preferred methods of consuming content.
Yeah.
So if you are everywhere, it's just like what Pat Flynn says, be everywhere. If you listen to the Smart Passive Income podcast, be everywhere. And if you have all of your content on all of those platforms, you will reach clients.
Be everywhere. That's my new mission, to be everywhere and help everybody. That's
Love it.
Be everywhere, help everybody. Make sure you check George out. You got to get our book, Your Epic Book Launch, if you haven't already done that. George is building businesses behind books. He's helping people be very successful with them, and you want to get your message and your expertise out to the world. So make sure you check him out, and we'll see you next week, where I'm going to help you take your business to the next level, whatever that is. George, any last words for anyone?
Get started today.
Dude, that's really good. Get started today. You gave some great tips, so thank you, George, for being here.
Thank you, Trevor. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Greatness Quest is also available for download on iTunes and Stitcher. See the link in the description below.